So if it's the charge of the CIO to be measuring their efficiency and effectiveness, and as I said before, measuring their inputs and their outcomes, they have to have this measurement suite to chart what they're doing. And as I said, clearly there are measures they need to deal with, which answer the question of their technology engines operating efficiently and effectively and all that. But the effective side really crosses over to the world of outcomes. So they really need to have clear business outcome measures. I've said this in general terms before, but if you take a look at business outcome measures, it could be everything from a customer, the impact of technology on customer retention or wallet share or customer satisfaction. You need parallel operations measures. Suppose you're running a bank. What is your cost to handle a deposit in a branch or through a mobile phone? What is your cost to clear a check or process a trade? I mean, these are simple operational measures. Or in the mortgage business, or you're in a factory, what's your cost of goods for technology for an automobile? So you can look at customer measures, you can look at operational measures, and then you can look at product measures. What's your time to market and things like that? But governments are highly digitized too. I mean, the backbones of governments today is interaction with its constituents and whether it's in the taxation plan to motor vehicle licenses to whatever else the government is doing. It's the digitization for that, and that's measuring the service to the people and the government and the performance and the responsiveness and overall risk, even if you were a Federal Reserve. So there's a whole suite of things that the CIO must measure, and they have to have those outcome measures in place. For each of those outcome measures, they have to understand the connection with the dots back to the IT input side. They have to put in place the underlying IT foundation to give them the risk profile, the security, and the elasticity they need. They need to make their technology choices underneath this, whether it's the commons or in-house. They need to build for the future by planning for the needed skill sets. They need to look at all this stuff globally. Sounds like a daunting task.
It sounds like the CIO needs a juxtaposition of skills and a deep insight into the metrics that's needed to capture the performance of all the different departments of the business.
Yeah, the choice of the word juxtaposition is exactly right. There are many disciplines involved. And your question sort of said it yourself. Being a CIO today is not just making the technology choices. It's really making the business choices, and that's multidisciplinary, lots of different facets to consider. I mean, the CIO is going to be making technical choices in the context of business choices. The CIO is going to be making the context of technology investments in terms of business outcomes. It's going to be looking at this in the dimensions of what it does to company performance, whether it's revenue, time to market of the customers, or all the kinds of things I've listed. At the same time, the technology is evolving underneath it. At the same time, the global economy is changing on top of it. Same time, the needed skill sets to get to the future are there. And at the same time, you need different instruments to calibrate where you're going because the whole world is changing and the old measures aren't working. So the CIO faces somewhat of a daunting task, but that's the challenge. So it means national leaders, policymakers, and everybody else has to be cognizant that technology affects not only our companies, not only affects the running of the government, but everybody's single life. It pervades healthcare, education, and everything else. And that's the challenge of the future. It's managing the transition from industrial age to information age to a digital economy in uncharted space with no latitude or longitude, where no one knows what the rules are. So it's quite a challenge that's out there. And again, it goes everything from the CIO to the world's leaders, to the G8, to the G20, to understand how this works and to do this to the benefit of mankind and whatever is going to come next.